The first thing she ever said to me wasn't hello, wasn't welcome to the neighborhood. It was, this is a God-fearing American street, and we don't want your kind bringing down our property values. Yeah, that happened. I was still on the metal ramp of my moving truck, holding a box labeled kitchen, coffee maker because I am a man with priorities. And here comes this woman sculpted out of pure entitlement, hair sprayed into a blonde helmet, cardigan draped just so, eyes sharp enough to curdle milk from 50 paces. My kind? I asked, because sometimes your brain grabs one word and refuses to let go. I glanced down at my t-shirt, a cartoon spaceship, wondering if I'd stumbled into an HOA with a strict no sci-fi policy. She didn't blink. We have standards, she said, sweeping a hand at my house like she owned the deed. An aesthetic. No noise, no cars on blocks, and certainly no disruptions. She held that last word in her mouth like a lemon seed. That I'm not a shouter. My name is Marcus Reed. I write software. I fix problems with logic, not driveway arguments. So I blinked slowly, shifted the coffee maker box, and said, "Ma'am, with respect, I just got here. The only disruption is you on my ramp. I plan to be a quiet neighbor, pay my dues, cut my grass. That going to be a problem?" She smiled without warmth. "The homeowners association will be watching. I'm the president, so I will be watching." She said president like queen and marched back to her beige palace across the street, rose bushes lined up like soldiers. Let me back up a sec. I bought this place for the same reasons everybody does: space, quiet, a patch of grass to call my own. The air inside smelled like fresh paint and possibility. But drifting in from across the street was that bitter whiff of bigotry, the kind that makes your jaw clench even when you tell yourself it's fine. It's nothing. It's just one person having a bad day. For the first few weeks, it almost felt like I'd imagined it. I met a few neighbors. There was a retired mechanic 2 doors down. Gus, always tinkering in his garage, hands permanently stained with history. Across the way, a young family, kids riding bikes and trading scraped knees for popsicles. Normal, peaceful. And then trash day arrived. Our rules are simple. Cans out after 7 p.m. on Tuesday, back by 7 p.m. Wednesday. I follow rules. I set my can out, went to work, came back to find it tipped on its side in the middle of my driveway. A sad breadcrumb trail of coffee filters and tissues blown across my concrete. Wind, I told myself. Sure, wind. Next week, same thing, but Messier, half-eaten yogurt under my car, lid popped like the can had been kicked with intent. That twitch you get when something isn't random. That started. You know what I mean? I put a brick in the bottom for science. If it was wind, weight would help. If it wasn't, well, Wednesday afternoon, I'm at my desk overlooking the street when I see her. Linda Whitmore, president of everything, in a powder blue tracksuit, power walking like she's late for her own coronation. She passes my house, detours, and kick. The can wobbles, holds because of the brick. She stumbles, glances around, then grabs it with both hands and heaves it over with the righteous fury of someone fighting a cymbal, not a bin. Kicks it again for punctuation. Keeps walking. It wasn't wind. It was her. And once you know that, once the cowardly part is exposed, you can't unsee it. My options were confront her and get a denial with extra venom or gather proof. I ordered a small camera, not one of those NASA-looking domes, just a discreet II mounted inside the garage window with a clean view of the curb. Motion alerts, tight zones, nothing outside my property. I felt ridiculous, setting a spy trap for a grown woman who hated my trash can. But here we were. Next Wednesday, like a clock chiming petty, she returns. No kick this time, straight to the two-handed shove. The camera catches everything, 1080p and ugly. The face, the strain, the thud, the triumphant middle finger aimed right at my front door. I saved it 6 ways: cloud, thumb drive, and a hard drive named receipts. Saturday, I walk over while she's pruning roses, thorns and all. As HOA president, maybe you can help, I say. Every Wednesday, my can gets knocked over. Vandals. She goes statue still. It's the wind. I nod. Strangest wind. Last week it even flipped me off. The color drains from her face, then rushes back as rage. File a complaint, she snaps. Great idea, I smile. I'll include the video. The shears tremble in her hand. Get off my property, she hisses. I leave, heart drumming but steady. She won't kick the can again, I think. She'll pick up a pen. The letters start. Cream envelopes, embossed logo, violations measured in millimeters, and malice. For dandelions, $1.50. A glimpse of the recycling lid visible if you crouch behind my neighbor's shrub like a raccoon with a law degree, $100. Hairline crack in a paver. A smudge under a faucet. The fines double on denial. I fight one with photos and bylaw citations and get back a bigger fine stamped appeal denied. She's turned the HOA into her cudgel. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, and I feel myself hardening, reading bylaws at midnight, mowing on a schedule to appease a person who doesn't believe I belong. That's when Gus ambles over, wiping grease on a rag. She doesn't lose, he says, eyes on her house. She reloads. He tells me about a family she bled with fines until they sold, a couple she tried to punish for a pride flag until lawyers got involved. I'm not the first. I'm just the newest, and I go back to what I understand, systems. Petty becomes engineering. I pour a 3-foot concrete pier at the curb, set a steel rebar post, bolt a steel plate inside a standard city can, drill a snug hole so the can slides onto the post, and sits there like a polite granite monument. The truck can lift it, a person can't budge it. It's invisible, it's legal, and it's petty art. Trash morning arrives. The truck's arm grabs, lifts, dumps, sets it back with a thunk. Phase 1. That afternoon, pink tracksuit appears in my camera's corner. She veers, kicks, clong. It's like she kicked a fire hydrant. Momentum carries her forward. She tumbles onto my lawn in a knot of limbs and rage. She screams at the can, actually screams at an object, then limps away. I save the footage under Karen versus physics. I think that's the end. It isn't. A week later, her garage door opens, and her champagne gold minivan idles at the end of her drive, aimed like a tank. No, I whisper, but my neighbor's warning echoes. She reloads. The van crawls across the street, bumps the curb, and rams my can. Plastic flexes, the anchor holds. Her bumper crumples like a soda can under a boot. Steam geysers. She stumbles out and shrieks that I booby-trapped my trash. Officer Keller arrives, already sure who the problem is. He asks why my can is bolted to the ground. It isn't. I say, calm coffee in hand. It rests on rebar on my property. She drove onto my lawn. He scowls until I play him the tapes. Week after week, kick, flip off, fall, and then the minivan charge. His face shifts from smug to procedural. Citations are written, not to me that I should have felt safe after that, but safety isn't a switch. The HOA fines stop, but a colder war starts. Whispers on the neighborhood page I'm not invited to, eyes sliding off me at the grocery store, a be vigilant post with a winking reference to certain new residents. She's spinning me into the bogeyman with the same energy she once used to prune roses. The worst part, the silence between doors closing, gets in your head. So I do something weird and vary me. I set a translucent screen inside my picture window and loop the minivan footage every evening at dusk. No captions, no commentary. Cars slow. People stop on the sidewalk, watch the slow, deliberate aim, the crunch, the steam, the truth. The next day, the woman who hid in the cereal aisle gives me a small, embarrassed smile. A neighbor rolls down his window at the mailbox. Hey, man, sorry. You could feel the street changing temperature. That's when she disappears from view. No walks, no roses, just curtains. And this is the part one still feel in my bones. One quiet Thursday past midnight, my phone buzzes. Motion at the driveway. The infrared feed blooms, and there she is in black hoodie and gloves, a gas can in one hand, a lighter in the other, moving with the stealth of a person who believes they're the hero in their own late-night movie. For a second, I freeze, breath stuck somewhere under my ribs. Then I'm dialing 911, whispering my address while on the other screen, she unscrews the cap and splashes a dark stain across my garage door. She flicks the lighter, orange flare lighting her face, and brings it down toward the gasoline. Sirens slice the night. A cruiser screams around the corner, headlights pinning her like a stage cue. She drops the lighter, collapses into a sobbing heap, pointing at my house and shouting that I framed her. Officer Reyes cuffs her, reads rights while I open the door with my hands up and my cameras ready. After that, everything moves like paperwork. Statements, firefighters hosing my driveway, a drive to the station with a thumb drive that might as well be a sword. The DA takes the case seriously, pattern, escalation, intent, words that make your hands shake and your spine stiffen. I testify. So does Gus. So do others from years past. People who'd swallowed her power because swallowing was easier than fighting. The jury takes 2 hours. Guilty of attempted arson. The judge, a woman with ice water clarity, says what we all lived. It wasn't a lapse. It was a campaign. 5 years. You'd think I'd cheer. I didn't. I sat there and watched Linda deflate. A person who built her identity on control suddenly, wearing an orange uniform that fits no one. I felt relief, sure, but also a heavy, human sadness. Hate eats the person who carries it. The neighborhood, funny how quickly a place can stand up after a long crouch, changes almost overnight. The old board resigns in a flurry of shame. New elections. Gus, hands still stained with your granddad's Chevelle, becomes president and starts with sunlight. Audits, refunds of bogus fines, bylaws rewritten in plain English so no one can twist them into weapons. The potlucks come back. Kids zigzag across my lawn on scooters. My cameras stay, but the projection comes down, and mornings belong to coffee and birds and the slap of newspapers on driveways. The can, my stubborn monument, still sits out every Tuesday night, sliding onto its hidden spine like a knight settling onto a horse. New neighbors hear the story before they meet me. They laugh, then lower their voices and say some version of, "I'm glad you stayed." Me too. Sometimes I sit on the porch at dawn and let the quiet tell me what I almost lost, the simple holiness of feeling safe at home. I think about Linda in a place with cinder block walls and fluorescent hum, and I wonder if she ever looks at her reflection and admits the truth. None of this had to happen. All she had to do was knock on my door and say welcome. She chose war, over a trash can, over a story she told herself about who gets to belong. That here's the part that feels like a movie and a question at the same time. Months after the sentencing, a certified letter arrives. No logo, just a return address from a law firm I don't recognize. Inside is a typed apology, cold and lawyered, but real. It says regret and harm and responsibility. It asks if I'd consider a statement at her parole hearing someday. I set it down on the table and let the porch clock tick. What do you do with that? Forgiveness isn't a switch either. It's a muscle. Maybe it grows. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's not for me to answer today. What I know is this. I didn't win because I was angrier or louder. I won because I stayed, because I turned on lights, because I kept receipts, and because a few good people decided silence wasn't their brand anymore. And I know this neighborhood, my neighborhood, feels different now. Stronger, kinder, less fragile. We learned that standards mean nothing if they're just a pretty word held like a weapon. So tell me, if you'd been in my chair on that porch, coffee in hand, minivan steaming on your lawn, how far would you go to defend your right to belong? Where's the line between smart defense and baiting a bully? Did I toe it, cross it, or hold it? Drop your take below on right versus wrong, on what justice should look like when community turns into a battleground. I'll be here, trash can steady, listening.